Welcome to your demonstration for exercise 4, bedroom elevations. In this exercise, we're going to talk about how our elevation view and how our elevation view is created and how it relates to our floor plan. When we get into this module's sheet, we will be doing detailed elevations of the kitchen. So to get us started seeing how our measurements and sheets interrelate, we are going to start with the more simple elevations of the Thailand bedroom. So we're going to be elevating the 4 walls of the Thailand's bedroom. And because the bedroom area encompasses the closet as well, our elevations will include the full horizontal straight on view of the entire width of the bedroom, including the closet. So to complete this exercise, you'll need to have your door and window schedule so that you know the sizes of your doors and windows. And you will also need to have your initial measurements sheet that we used when we began our first floor plan, so that you have access to the measurements of the bedroom. And we are going to draw the 4 walls, elevations of the 4 walls of the bedroom. Since we know that north is on this side of our floor plan, we're going to call these elevations our north, east, south, and west elevations. As we take our slices to the room, now we're doing interior elevations, so we're not going to have to worry about counting for any of this exterior wall thickness. The only wall thickness that's going to get included is going to be our wall thickness of our closet, of our wall between our 2 closets. The places that we're going to go to make these views, we're going to have our north one with a slice through our building here, looking at it this way. For our east, we'll slice through it here, looking this direction. Our south, we'll slice through here, looking at that direction. And our west, we'll slice through here, looking this direction. So already we have some great information that we know. We can decide on what the overall width of our north elevation is from the information on this sheet. We were given that our north wall, we have a dimension from this interior wall to the edge of this exterior wall of 10'7". So apologize to those of you who did not enjoy dimensions, but we're going to do a little of our wall adding and subtracting here as well. When we take out the measurement of this wall side here, we end up with an interior measurement of 10'1". So we need that 10'1" width when we do our initial wall. So let's put our floor in for our north elevation. And I'm going to give you a little trick in a second. I'm going to suggest that you start, and you can see I am starting, this is an exercise. So let me back up and say that we are drawing on our 8.5 by 11 bond paper. I have already set this up with the exercise title block. You all know how to do that, so you don't need to watch me do that in this demonstration. But I'm going to suggest that you start that north wall pretty close to the edge over here, because, and you'll see why when we go through. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, as I've shown before, I prefer to put in a guideline and then refine the measurement. So I'm going to put a guideline in for that. And then I'm gonna come back and measure at my 1/4 inch scale. Ten feet. And 1 inch. So I know that is the width of this wall. Now, we just did our electrical plan, which includes our ceiling details. So we know that our ceiling height is 9'0" in our bedroom. So now we've already used information off of both our floor plan in planning and our electrical or ceiling plan to inform then our elevation as well. So we know that from our floor, our wall, and I apologize, I'm having off-screen measurement issues. But I know that I'm going to go up 9 feet. So you should all be able to hopefully see that I'm at 9 to 0. So that is going to be our height. Now I know I'm working in a 4H, so it's a little light. Here, I'll give a little more pressure for this demo, but you want to be working in a light line because we're putting in guidelines. And then I'm going to go ahead and put up my ceiling over here. I now have the 4 walls of the elevation looking straight at the north wall of our Tidelands bedroom. But I've got a few more other things going on in this room. I also have 2 windows in the north wall. Now, if I look at my door and window schedule, I know that these windows are double hung and that they are 3 feet by 4 feet. In the instructions for this exercise, you're given the information that those windows are 2 feet 9 inches above the finished floor. That is the bottom sill of the window. So we're going to want to come up here and find where 9 inches and 2 feet. And then they are 4 feet high. So another 4 feet. And we're going to want to put in a couple guidelines for putting in those windows. So I know this is how tall my windows are. How do I locate the inside of my windows? Well, I know they're centered. So there's a couple different ways you can go about it. I like to find that center point, which is just a hair past 5 feet. And then go 3 inches in either direction to account for that 6 inches in between my 2 windows. And I'll go ahead and connect my lines there and there. And then I know that each of these windows is 3 feet wide. So I'm going to mark 3 feet on this one. And 3 feet on this one. It goes up. And now I have the boxes of my 2 windows. Now they are double hung windows, and if you're not super familiar with those, you're welcome to look them up on Google. But that's going to be a window that's going to be divided into 2 panes. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little line in here. And then I'm going to put in a little hole. You don't have to get super fancy on these windows. Just enough to show that it's a window. So I've got my little windows in there. Now I need to darken. My window detailing is fine to stay in a 4H, but my window itself needs to go into a 2H. So I'll go ahead, remembering that I want to put my pencil on the line I want and bring my tool to meet it. Darken it in between since it's 2 separate windows. And then my walls and floor are actually cut through and are advancing toward the viewer. So they need to be in an HB pencil, and I'm going to darken them even more. And now I have a west elevation, and I can even get out my handy dandy lettering guide. Popped in a couple guidelines. And label this as my north elevation. North elevation. And if I look and compare, and this will work with your floor plan or your electrical, I can see where those interior walls and windows are lining up plan to plan. So I have taken this wall that I'm looking straight down at, and I'm looking at my view. So it's almost as if they connect like that. Now, the reason why I had you put this here is if the height of my north wall is 9 feet, then the height of my east wall will coincidentally also be 9 feet. So I'm able to use, without, I don't have to measure 9 feet again. I can use my floor and ceiling and just project the lines over to get the guidelines for my west elevation. we're gonna work my east elevation. We'll work clockwise around the room and do the east elevation. Now my east elevation encompasses my bedroom, which has a 13-foot measurement from the outside, my closet, which gives me another 2'11" to the inside wall, for a total of 15'11", but it's less the 6 inches for this exterior wall because that's not going to be part of my interior elevation. So taking that out gives me 15 feet 5 inches. So now along here, I'm going to come and measure . 15 feet 5 inches. Now you know why I had to start this over at the edge, because now I can fit these two elevations side by side. If you didn't start far enough over to the edge, you can go ahead and use a second sheet of paper or 3 rows of elevations for this, and it's fine. That's just a little trick to save you making an extra title block. So now I have the perimeter box for my east wall. Now my east wall again has 2'11" of closet and then a 5-inch wall. So I'm going to go ahead, or excuse me, it has 2'11" to the edge of the wall. So 2'6" on the interior. So I'm going to measure my 2'6", and then another 5 inches. Or alternatively, I could measure 2'11" and then take it 5 inches in. Same thing either way. And I'm going to go ahead and put 2 lines going straight up. To separate out the walls of my closet. Now, this is where some students get confused. What are we seeing when we're looking at these 2 walls? When we're cutting through on the plane at this edge and looking this direction at that plane, what we're going to see, we're not going to worry about our doors. We're going to see the jamb of this wall. We're going to see the cut through of the header of the wall that comes back around over the top of our closet. So part of it is going to be the surface of the jamb, the face of it, and part of it is going to be a cut through of the wall. And then we're also going to see the slice through of the shelf and bar. And then we're going to see the edge profile of the shelf and bar that are in the back and coming along the back. And starting to understand that 3-dimensional quality and what you're seeing not only on the cut plane, but what is slightly behind it is one of the purposes of this exercise, because that's going to be really important when we're negotiating the corners of our kitchen elevation in our sheet for this module. So we'll go ahead and make that separation between what is the jamb of the closet and what is the header of it. If you're getting confused with that concept of what the jamb and header are, I highly suggest that you actually walk into a closet in your home and stand in it and look at the edge. We tend to look into our closets. We don't actually look at the construction, at the thickness of it. So go and stand in the track of your sliders or on the inside and look at what you're seeing coming back. So we know from our door and window schedule that we have a 7-foot tall closet. our head height is 7 feet. So we're going to take that 1/4 inch scale and we're going to measure 7 feet up our wall. And make the separation. We also need to account for our shelf and bar. In the information for this exercise, we gave that the shelf is at a 5'6" height and the bar is at 5'3". So we're going to measure along here, 5'6" and 5'3". Our shelf will go along at 5'3", and just touch a thickness to it. So we'll make 2 parallel lines. We know from our floor plan that our shelf is 1 foot 3 inches deep. So the first 1 foot 3 inches of this shelf is going to be the return coming back toward the viewer. The rest of it is going to be the front surface of the shelf. The bar is at 1 foot. So we're going to measure 1 foot, 12 inches, along the line for the bar and put a little circle for the slash through the bar. And then we'll take it back to the edge. For the front side of the bar that we're viewing along the return. We also, and again, think this through, visualize, stand in your closet and look at the side wall of it to help you visualize this if you're having trouble wrapping your head around it. This can be one of the most challenging things, but training your mind to think of what would I see if I drop that imaginary slice through is what's going to help you understand the concept of these elevations. So I encourage you to think it through a couple times and to walk around your own home and look at those perspectives if you're having trouble understanding what you're seeing here. Now we also have a door. If we measure on our floor plan, we know our jamb is about 4 inches, say, into our bedroom. Let's take a look. Yeah, or maybe 3-4 inches there between here and here. So we're going to measure 4 inches and put a mark. From our door window schedule, we know that our bedroom door is 2 feet 8 inches wide and 7 feet tall. Two feet 8. And we already know where 7 feet is because our header is 7 feet on our closet as well. So we can just take that same line. And now we have our door. Now we do need to put a doorknob in here because we do show doors closed in elevation. And we need to show how our door opens. The way that you show an opening of a hinged or swinging door is by placing a point at the center of the hinge side of the door. So at 3'6" for our 7-foot door. And then drawing in a dashed line connecting to the corners. This not only shows us that we have a door here, but shows us how it opens. That is showing that it's going to open like that. Now, we actually forgot to do that for our windows. We want to show that for our windows as well. Our windows are double hung, which means this pane slides down and this pane slides up. So we'll indicate that with an arrow showing the direction of motion. This arrow can be in your 4-H pencil. It's referred to as an opening indicator. Same thing with this dashed line. That's going to stay in 4-H because it is an opening indicator. However, as with our windows, our door will also become 2H when we darken. Also staying 2H will be our jamb, because it's farther away from the viewer. We're looking at the plane, it's not cut through. The other item we're just looking at from far away is the return of the bar and the return of the shelf. What we're going to look at that's dark is the cut through of our bar, our 4 walls, and our items that are cut through, our header, and our shelf. Now, since we remember what we did on our floor plan with our walls that were cut through, we pochade. We'll do the same thing here. That's why I darkened that as a circle. And then we'll go ahead and color in the cut through of our shelf. And the cut through of our header. And now we have a west elevation. And sure enough, if we pull over our plan, again, plan to plan, we're lining up. We've taken our floor plan and popped it up. And we'll label this west elevation, just like we did north. You don't need to watch me letter, you know how to letter. So now we'll go ahead and set up our other 2 walls. And just like these 2 walls, actually I am going to go ahead and letter this so that we don't get confused. And we can use our same guidelines, which we love. Let's put in our east elevation. our east elevation. Okay, so now we need to set up 9-foot walls for our next two elevations. So this time I know I'm doing two. I'm gonna go ahead and take my line all the way across. Make my mark at 9 feet. Take up my wall. And I'm gonna go all the way across. Then I'm gonna measure my 10-foot one. To create my next elevation. If I really want to be sneaky, I can actually even just pull these down. Now that I know where my 9 feet is. They're exactly the same size. And then I don't have to measure any of this again. My room is symmetrical. And my walls are all the same size. There. So now I have my walls. What feature do I have on that south elevation? Well, on my south elevation, I just have my bypass closet doors. So I know that those are at 7 feet. So I'm going to go up, find 7 feet. Pardon me, let me get rid of that. Don't know what made that window come up. So at 7 feet, I am going to put in header. Now I know that that 6-foot closet is in the middle of my room. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to find that midpoint, that 5 feet and just a hair. And then I am going to measure 3 feet in either direction to get my centered 6 feet. And then I'm going to take those 3 lines up to make my 2 closet doors. Now I need to do some refining because it's looking a little messy in here. So let's get my darker pencils out and refine. Header. Door. 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 Now some of you might be asking why this one's going through the inside and this one's on the outside. It might be that if you were truly giving a plan of this, you would have to do both elevations. One showing the doors so that you could show your door finishes, and one showing the interior so that you could show how your closet system is put together. So neither one of these would be wrong to do. I'm just choosing that we're going to do this one. In reality, you'd probably have to do them both. So now that I've refined these, I'm going to darken in my floor. My wall. My wall. And my ceiling. And I have an elevation. Now these probably will have handles. If you want to know how high I'm putting these, take a tape measure and take a look at the handles of your own doors. That's another one of those things like outlets that are standard. I'm going to put a little handle in. You can do whatever kind you want. And these are bypass doors. So with my 4H pencil, I'm going to have to put in some opening indicators. In this case, because they are bypass doors, they're going to each slide in one direction or the other. And with that, I'll mark what I have done. Since I know I'm going to have to letter 2 places, I'll go ahead and draw my guidelines once. Put in my south elevation. My south elevation is done. Now just one more. Need to do the west elevation, the other view of this wall. Now in this case, when I'm looking at it, I am looking at it as if I'm standing here. It might be simpler to think of looking at it here. So where on my east elevation, my closet was over here, now in my west elevation, that closet's going to be on the other side. So I'll have to do the same thing. Where I'll go 2'11" out to the edge. And another 5 inches in for my interior wall. And then I'll have to find my 7-foot header. I'll have to do my (5'6" shelf and my 5'3" bar. And remembering that my bar is a foot away. That little circle. My line across to represent my shelf and bar going across this way, the return to my shelf and bar. And I'll have to mark out (1, 3) here. Now, do I have anything going on? I surely don't. I got another unit over here. So this is to say blissfully blank. And I can go ahead and start refining. So my two H's again are going to be return of my shelf, return of my bar, and the jambs of my closet door. My HB, my dark items are going to be ceiling, the cut through there, the cut through of my shelf, the cut through of my bar, my floor, and my walls, including my two side walls and my cut through header. And of course, I need to crochet in my header and crochet in the cut through portion of my shelf. And now I have a west elevation. And there you have it. Once you've completed this, you can darken in your title block, fill in all your information here, and upload your assignment on Canvas. Good luck with your assignment. I hope it starts helping you connect how the information from your floor plans and ceiling plan, along with your door and window schedule, can help you start to intuit what the vertical walls of your structure look like. We'll be pulling this next week into the kitchen as we start working on our sheet for our sheet set.